The Sims 2 is a sad game. Like thoroughly depressing. As a series, The Sims has always stuck out to me from other life simulators because of its bleakness. Like, yes, it's a wacky world with a billion downloadable mods and stuff, but like there's nothing quite like playing the base game by itself. The world feels like a little, I don't know, desolate, I guess, like Strange Town. It's like four buildings, and that's it. The Sims 2 specifically feels like it's built to disappoint. Not that the game is bad or anything. I mean, it's one of my favorites of all time, which is a sentiment a lot of other people also share, but in the sense that everything seems just a little underwhelming. Because the game was released in 2004, the graphics are a little rough, and in my opinion, this adds to the weird feeling of like emptiness that this game elicits. The environment is flat, all the textures a little too rigid and a little too foreign. The color grading of everything also looks like a little bit weird because everything is washed out with this sort of like burnt orange hue. I don't know how to describe it. Everything is just a little discolored. And I mean, we all know that the character models look uncanny at the best of times. Do you know what really gets me about this game? Why do they sound like that? All of the characters have insane sounding voices, and the children. Oh my god, the fucking children. Keep in mind, this game was released before Simlish was like a thing in this series, so they all just sort of make animalistic sounds at one another to communicate. They're not even speaking a made up language, they're just like grunting like cavemen. Another contender in the series for most unsettling and lonely feeling landscape is the Sims 2 spin off for the 3DS. The town it takes place in, the entire world of the story, is five poorly rendered buildings in the middle of the desert. Everyone is lonely, everyone is desperate. Of course, this is a game for kids, so the plot consists of you going to this town for the first time by complete accident, essentially, and having ownership of an entire hotel bequeathed unto you in the span of about 1 hour. This game's really weird. That's like barely even scratching the surface, but I don't need to sit here and explain to you that The Sims is weird. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be surreal. For me personally, though, I bring all of this up because when I played The Sims 2 for the first time, as with a lot of other people, I experienced something that stuck with me for years that I didn't know was a thing in the game going into a blind. The social bunny. If you've never played The Sims 2 or just somehow don't know anything about the series at all of your Sims have needs. Hygiene, hunger, bladder, etc. They also have a social need. Now, the early Sims games are notoriously difficult when it comes to keeping your sim alive, much less happy and healthy. And so, being not very good at micromanagement, younger me accidentally let my sim's social need decay. I mean, it's fine, I figured it's not gonna kill them. And I mean, it didn't. But it did spawn the social bunny, who is either an actual anthropomorphic rabbit or just a guy in a bunny costume, but regardless, probably a hallucination. The social bunny appears to cheer your sim up a bit and then disappears again. And this is literally the extent of its interaction with you. But it's always felt a bit odd, no? I mean, beyond the obvious reasons. I'm pretty sure it isn't in any other Sims games, and it isn't a single entity in canon. If multiple Sims on your lot have dangerously low social needs, one will appear individually for each of these Sims. It's also always invisible for any other Sims that it's not assigned to. So, like, what does this mean? I think it's a little telling that the most likely explanation for this is mass hysteria. Now, I did say that the social bunny wasn't in any other Sims games, which it isn't, save for an Easter egg in The Sims 4. But its stand-in in other games is the tragic clown. Their appearance on a lot has only two prerequisites. One, the lot has to have a painting of them hung up somewhere, and two, your sim has to be really fucking depressed. And what's even more, Sunny doesn't even cheer your sims up, they make your sims' moods worse, if anything. They have approximately 2 actions they can perform that are special to their title of tragic clown. And one of them is basically them failing to juggle so hard that it just ruins your sim's day. And Sunny is borderline impossible to remove from the lot once summoned. They're just kind of annoying, frankly. However, as with many if not most, Sims NPCs, they can be added to your household with commands, and this is what is just the most interesting to me. When added, playing as Sunny or simply wearing the tragic clown outfit will give your sim a permanent sadness moodlet labeled Tears of a Clown. This means that their default mood will always be sad. Any sim within the vicinity of this walking hopelessness will be given a moodlet titled Such Tragedy. But here's the kicker. Any two tragic clowns being near each other will grant both of them a happy moodlet, labeled Misery Loves Company. It's kind of nice, I guess, that the only time another person is even remotely happy in the presence of a tragic clown is when they are also tragic themselves. A classic case of disturbing the comfortable and comforting the disturbed, I suppose. And the tragic clown, unlike the social bunny, is distinctly corporeal. At least, I think they are. It's hard to tell when their canon existence has just a bunch of discrepancies throughout the games. For example, in The Sims 3, ignore everything I just said because there's a lot named the Pleasant Rest Graveyard. In it, 23 Sims are buried and provided a cause of death. One such Sim is the tragic clown who died of drowning. Does this mean that they're a ghost haunting Sims who are one bad day away from a complete mental break? But I am admittedly going off the rails here. As much as I could dig into the lore of these NPCs, which are, by the way, some of my goddamn favorites in the series, just because of how weird they are, that's not why I bring them up. I bring them up because they represent a fact of The Sims that's just integral to the gameplay, which is that all of your Sims are equally susceptible to spiraling into absolute insanity at any given moment. None of your Sims are impervious to the sinking dread that comes with simply existing. And while The Sims 4 is certainly the kindest game when it comes to need upkeep in the series, the tragic clown still exists, and they exist for a reason. Is it probably just a gag and or nod to previous games? Maybe. But it's my YouTube video. I get to overanalyze this goofy-ass series if I want to. And I haven't even covered the point of The Sims. As Ambiguous Amphibian has said multiple times in his YouTube videos, every playthrough of The Sims is a story about upward mobility in the tantalizing pursuit of the fabled American dream.
The rich get richer, and the poor get children, or die trying. And The Sims is a timeless allegory for the struggle of the 99% against the 1%, the haves versus the have-nots.
Every career promotion, every house renovation, every familial generation gets you one step closer to happiness. And people always say that money can't buy happiness, but I mean, that's probably just because they have enough money to keep themselves afloat. And as tangible as progress feels in The Sims, because it is literally just a video game, you're never quite there. There's always something new to work towards, and that's assuming you're actually climbing the ranks in the first place. If you aren't, there's the Repo Man to take all of your earthly possessions in increments with his weird sci-fi ray gun. There's the very realistic dilemma of having to choose between objects to take care of your needs. Do you want a roof over your head, or do you want to be able to feed yourself? There are also just general oddities in the series that make it a little bit more distressing, I guess. For example, The Sims 1 has these prank call pop-ups that, even in context, feel distinctly out of place. You've probably seen at least one of these online before. The end is near. Make preparations. And despite the fact that these don't really have any lasting consequences in game, they make the world of The Sims that much more unsettling. And who could forget the iconic chemistry tables, which are essentially the PG version of meth labs? Or the fact that children can die. Or the fact that every interaction in The Sims 2 seems to end with your character bursting into tears. I have no segue into this, but I just wanted to talk about it, by the way. User Kelly and R on Reddit has saved my life with this last topic I want to cover. Paintings in The Sims. Because my god, I don't even really have anything profound to say about any of these paintings independently. They're just really, really interesting to me. And here's a list of some of my favorites. Sun, Red House, Pinup, and Scribble, although it might sound like that last one is a joke. There's always been something very neat about the fact that emotion and character traits have obvious effects on how paintings are made. In The Sims 3, all paintings have a chance of having a filter variation based on their creator's personality, i.e. an insane sim can paint like this. There's definitely a conversation to be had about art in The Sims, but I would have to manually go through the first 3 games and paint every single painting and analyze them all, which I really don't want to do, honestly. But, it's cool. art in The Sims is really, really, really cool. It's also a super fun rabbit hole to explore if you've got the time and patience. There's something genuinely bleak about Red House. There's something genuinely lively about pinup. I also really like Sims art because a lot of it actually reminds me of an artist I really like here on YouTube named 1080 Jack. Anything I could want to say about these paintings is conveyed infinitely better in his videos, so watch those, seriously, his content rules. The Sims has always held and always will hold a very, very special place in my heart as my first introduction to life simulators. I'm sure that applies to a lot of people, in fact. It has such an insanely dedicated fanbase and community that is just as strong, if not even stronger, than when it first came out. For all of its bizarreness, it exists as a genuinely thought-provoking mirror of real life, even if some of its similarities are a little hard to grasp. And, plot twist, I've actually made a sim for this video, for a very short portion of this video. His name is Sludge Mickelson, which is essentially just my username if it was a noir detective. He is a Joker ripoff, terrible with the ladies, and above all, sad. He is friendless and unlucky and forever bored to tears. He is also not special, I want to add. Most Sims are like this. Throughout my short playthrough with him, I managed to make approximately 2 friends, who, of course, didn't stick around for very long at all. He got laid off from his job, lit on fire, all of the usual occurrences in The Sims 2. He became obsessed with befriending this one lady who wanted absolutely nothing to do with him. I cannot think of anything more all-encompassing of the Sims franchise than this permanent downward trajectory. And really, none of this is probably a big deal at all in the long run. Oh no, your sim died? Make a new one, you know? Load your last save, cheat to increase your funds, whatever. And it's probably a bit, I don't know, narcissistic of me to think that I can make an entire video essay about how depressing The Sims can be and just assume people will care. Because, again, it is literally just a silly life simulator with aliens and pets who can have careers and tunnels into magic amusement parks. But as someone who regularly seeks out catharsis through the medium of video games, sometimes watching my sim eat a grilled cheese in complete silence in their barely furnished house is, like, oddly therapeutic. My sim is just as depressed as I am, I think. Maybe I am capable of change. Did any of this make sense? I feel like it might be a little much, if you know what I mean. But The Sims means a lot to me, and I've always wanted to put that weird feeling into words because, hey, maybe someone else knows what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm not crazy. Which is, funnily enough, the exact same pursuit of relatability that fuels my love for the series. And forgive me if this seems nauseatingly pretentious, but being alive and playing The Sims all feels a bit like a grand effort to prove to yourself that you can get back on your feet. It almost feels like you're trying too hard to be human through the oxymoronic use of a computer. You're really trying to convince as many people as possible that you know what you're doing. And at some point, you have absolutely nobody who believes you, not even yourself. At another point, you feel hopeful and proud of how far you've come, how much you've accomplished. You become a walking dichotomy, and then you realize that you've always been that way. If you're watching this, you're at the end of this lobotomy fest of a video, and I applaud you for making it this far. Thank you for sticking around. Please excuse how melodramatic I was in this video. It's my little treat, okay? I really don't have much to say for this outro, but I want to propose a business idea. I want to start a new thing, and I'm not exactly sure how well this will turn out, or like, if I'm even gonna continue to do this past this video, but I had this idea where I could, like, have a song recommendation at the end of a video that fits the theme of the video, because I'm not only a huge video game nerd, but also a huge music nerd as well. So if you will pardon my indulgence, the first song is Coin Op Guillotine by Los Campesinos, a British indie rock emo band. I don't know, they describe themselves as emo. I don't know how to exactly say their emo, but I really like them. So editing slug me here. It's like 1 a.m. and I'm just now realizing that a better song choice probably would have been Let Down by Radiohead. I just wanted to add that. Am I allowed to play the song? I don't think I'm allowed to play the song. So, I guess I won't. Just go listen to it, okay? It's a good song. It's a really good song. It sounds a little bit like Christian rock, but it's a good song. And with that, I bid you adieu, and I will see you on the other side.